The proposal, the affair, and the friend caught in the middle. A true story. Chapter 1. The echoes of a childhood bond. Our story begins not with a dramatic bang, but with the quiet hum of a lifelong friendship. I'm 27 male. She was Vienna, 26, and we were woven into each other's lives since childhood, growing up on the same quiet street. Our families were practically one, our lives an open book to each other. Vienna was smart, funny, captivating, a whirlwind of spontaneity. But beneath that vibrant exterior lay a restless spirit, a pattern I'd seen unfold repeatedly. In high school it was Levi. 2 years they dated, a lifetime in adolescent terms, only for me to discover much later she'd been seeing someone else for the last 6 months of it. Then came Daryl in college, another relationship, another restless shift, another quiet betrayal before the official end. I always dismissed it as a phase, a youthful indulgence that time and true connection would eventually cure. I genuinely believed she'd outgrow it. 3 years ago, Vienna found her stride at a downtown marketing firm. Good pay, stimulating work, she seemed genuinely content. Around the same time Tom entered her life. Tom, 28, an accountant. Quiet, methodical, almost the polar opposite of Vienna's vibrant energy. I thought perhaps this was it. A perfect balance. He was no thrill seeker. His life revolved around spreadsheets and tax codes, his beige sedan a testament to his understated existence. Yet, he treated her with an unwavering, quiet devotion. He remembered her coffee order, brought her soup when she was sick, helped her move apartments twice without a single complaint. He was, in essence, a rock. After 2 years they moved in together. A nice 2-bedroom apartment, a tangible step towards a shared future. Vienna had her moments of complaint. Tom was boring, he didn't want to go out enough, but overall there was a sense of stability, a comfortable rhythm. Tom, deeply in love, began to speak of a future, of proposing next year. Vienna would roll her eyes, a characteristic playful gesture, but she never truly shut down the conversation. The stage was set, a quiet, almost domestic bliss, unknowingly teetering on the edge of an abyss. Chapter 2. The Seattle Revelation. March arrived, bringing with it a career-defining opportunity for Vienna. Her company sent her to Seattle for a week-long conference, a privilege reserved for their top performers. She was buzzing with excitement, networking, presenting her ideas to important clients. This was her moment to shine, a testament to her talent and hard work. When she returned, she came straight to my place, a tradition after any significant trip. But this time something felt different. There was a nervous energy, a subtle shift in her usual confident demeanor. She regaled me with tales of conference sessions and client meetings for an hour, her words a rapid-fire attempt to fill the silence, to postpone the inevitable. Then the silence truly fell. She grew quiet, asked for another beer, her gaze fixed somewhere beyond me. And then she spoke the words that would shatter the tranquility of our lives. On the third night, she began, her voice barely above a whisper, I went to the hotel bar with some colleagues. Among them was Austin, 34, a senior marketing director from the Chicago office. They'd been working on a major project remotely, but this was their first in-person encounter. Austin, she casually mentioned, was married, his wife a nurse named Linda. He showed off pictures of their dog, talked about their summer vacation plans. A seemingly harmless detail, yet it already pricked at my unease. Vienna and Austin, the last ones at the bar, continued talking shop. Professional at first, so she claimed. But then the compliments began to shift, becoming more personal, more intoxicating. He praised her talent, her creative energy, wished his team had more people like her. Flattered, she admitted, by the attention from someone so senior. More drinks flowed, blurring the lines of professional decorum, until Vienna confessed she was pretty drunk. That's when Austin suggested they go up to his room to discuss a project proposal. She knew it was a bad idea, she said, her voice laced with a desperate need for absolution. But she went anyway. What followed was a blur of drunken indiscretion. Kisses, an unspoken consent, and then the raw, ugly truth, Vienna performing oral sex on Austin. 10 minutes, she estimated, before the fog lifted and reality crashed down. Austin, immediately contrite, apologized profusely, his fear for his wife palpable. Vienna, in a twisted act of self-preservation, dismissed it. It's fine, she told him, let's just forget it happened. They swore each other to secrecy, a pact made in the shadows of guilt. The next morning the conference was a strained, awkward silence between them. Austin's desperate text on the flight home, a plea for continued silence, was met with Vienna's calm assurance. When she finished, she looked at me, a silent plea for understanding, for complicity. I asked the obvious, the question that burned on my tongue, "Are you going to tell Tom?" Her answer, sharp and dismissive, sliced through the air, "No. It was a one-time drunken mistake," she insisted, meaningless. Austin had more to lose, so she wasn't worried about him. Then came the words that twisted the knife deeper. "I told you because I trust you to keep it a secret. Tom would overreact." Chapter 3, The Weight of a Secret. Vienna's words hung heavy in the air, a suffocating shroud around my conscience. Tom would overreact. Overreact? The man who was diligently saving for an engagement ring, the man who spoke of Vienna in every conversation, whose future was meticulously woven around her presence. He was planning to propose to someone who had just casually confessed to a profound betrayal, someone who was now actively choosing to lie about it. I've known Vienna my entire life. She was there when my parents divorced, a steadfast anchor in the storm. She let me crash on her couch when I lost my job, helped me update my resume. She was family. But Tom also deserved the truth. He was about to commit his life to a lie, a carefully constructed illusion built on Vienna's deception. If it was truly no big deal, why the fervent need for secrecy? The very act of hiding it screamed of its wrongness. For 4 agonizing months I carried this burden. Every time I saw Tom, Vienna's confession replayed in my mind like a broken record. Then the final blow. Tom, beaming with unadulterated joy, showed me the engagement ring. He had picked it out, planned an elaborate proposal for Vienna's birthday next month. His excitement was a cruel mockery of the secret I held. My loyalty was torn. Vienna, my oldest friend, forged in the crucible of childhood memories. Tom, a good man, undeserving of such deceit. The path before me was a minefield. If I told Tom, Vienna would know it was me. Our 20-year friendship, a tapestry intricately woven, would unravel in an instant. I would be branded a betrayer. But if I stayed silent, I would be complicit in a lie that would devastate a good man. I began to avoid them both, the weight of the secret making normal interaction impossible. Vienna's texts asking if everything was okay, my flimsy excuses of being busy with work, each interaction was a fresh wound. Should I tell Tom? Should I try to convince Vienna to confess? Or should I simply step back, let the pieces fall where they may? The thought of ruining my friendship with Vienna was unbearable, but the thought of Tom getting engaged to someone who had cheated on him and was lying about it was an even heavier burden. I was trapped, caught in the crosscurrents of a turbulent secret. Chapter 4, The Unraveling. The answer to my internal struggle came not from my own agonizing decision, but from an unexpected, brutal explosion of truth. Last Tuesday around 9 p.m. my phone rang. It was Tom, his voice a strange, shaky whisper. He was at the police station. Vienna had taken their car and he needed a ride. Confusion morphed into alarm as I drove to the station. Tom, battered and bruised, his shirt torn, a cut on his lip, was being released with an assault charge court date looming in 2 weeks. On the drive home, the fragments of the truth began to piece themselves together, forming a picture far more devastating than anything I could have imagined. Austin's wife, Linda, had discovered his infidelity. Not just with Vienna but with multiple women. One of his side pieces, fed up, had exposed him with screenshots and photos. When Linda confronted Austin, he crumbled, confessing everything, including his tryst with Vienna in Seattle. Linda, shattered, left him. But here's the twist, the cruel irony that tightened the knot in my stomach. Austin and Tom were college roommates, longtime friends. It was Austin who had introduced Tom to Vienna 3 years ago. Tom had no idea that Austin from Vienna's company was that Austin. Linda, knowing Tom through Austin's stories, decided he deserved to know the truth. She called Tom and laid bare the painful reality. Tom, reeling from the shock, drove straight to Austin's apartment. The confrontation was swift and violent. A punch, a fight in the hallway, a neighbor calling the police. By the time I picked him up, Vienna was oblivious, still at work, completely unaware that her carefully guarded secret had just detonated. Tom, numb, packed a bag, left a note and his key for Vienna, and went to his brother's. An hour later, Vienna called me, her voice ragged with tears. She'd found Tom's note, his key, his absence. He wasn't answering her calls. I delivered the crushing blow. Tom found out about Seattle. The silence on the other end was deafening. Then, a volley of panicked questions. How? Who told him? Did you tell him? I explained about Linda, about Austin's confession. Vienna hung up, only to call back 10 minutes later, desperate for Tom's whereabouts. I refused, urging her to give him space. The next day she appeared at my door, a ghost of her former self. She wanted details, insisted it was all blown out of proportion, that Austin had made it sound worse. I pushed back, asking what she expected after cheating with a married man. She got defensive, called it a mistake, insisted Tom was dramatic and they could work through it. She even asked me to call Tom to convince him to meet. I refused, telling her it wasn't my place. That's when she turned on me, accusing me of taking Tom's side, of betraying our friendship. I finally, utterly exhausted, told her the truth. I had been carrying her secret for months, it had been eating at me, and she had put me in an impossible position. She stormed out, sending a venomous text later that night, ending our friendship. The secret was out, but at what cost? Chapter 5. The Fragile Path to Reconciliation. Tom's court date came and went. A misdemeanor assault charge, community service, anger management, a fine, and a 6-month restraining order against Austin. He called me the night after, utterly exhausted. We met for coffee, Tom looking thinner, his focus shattered. He'd been staying with his brother, haunted by the images of Vienna and Austin. Vienna, meanwhile, was relentless, calls, texts, showing up at his work, even contacting his brother. But Tom wasn't ready. Then a surprising shift. Tom confessed he'd been thinking, wondering if he was partially to blame. Had he neglected her? Was that why she cheated? I shut that down immediately. Vienna's actions were her own responsibility. He knew I was right, he said, but the what-ifs lingered. Then came the question that stunned me: do you think I should give Vienna another chance? He loved her, 3 years was a long time to throw away over one mistake. I told him only he could decide, but to be honest with himself about whether he could truly trust her again. He was thinking of meeting her, he said, just to talk. The following week Vienna called me. Her anger had melted into desperation. She'd heard from Tom's brother that he was considering talking. Had I encouraged him? I explained it was Tom's own idea. She was miserable, would do anything to fix things. Then she asked a favor: would I be present when they talked? A neutral party, someone who knew both sides. I was hesitant, but 2 days later Tom called with the same request. He was nervous, wanted me there for comfort, for judgment, to keep the conversation on track. Against my better judgment, I agreed. We met at a neutral coffee shop. Vienna, clearly trying, still looked strained. The tension was palpable when Tom walked in. Vienna launched into apologies, admitting Seattle was her biggest mistake, blaming drunkenness and work stress, promising it would never happen again. Tom listened silently, then cut to the core. Why didn't you tell me when you got back? She was afraid, she said, thought it would be better to keep it secret since it didn't mean anything. He pressed, would you have ever told me if Linda hadn't called? After a beat of hesitation, she admitted she probably wouldn't have. Then Tom delivered the bombshell that silenced us all. While she was in Seattle, cheating, he had been at the jewelry store picking out her engagement ring. He had planned to propose on her birthday, dinner reservations already made. Vienna broke down, sobbing, claiming she never would have done it if she'd known. Tom's voice was weary. Is that true, or are you just saying it to make yourself feel better? The conversation dragged on for an hour, Vienna apologizing, Tom questioning, me a silent witness. Tom left, needing more time. He appreciated her honesty but still didn't know if he could trust her. Couples counseling, she suggested. Maybe, he replied, no commitments. After she left, Tom asked my opinion. I told him Vienna seemed genuinely sorry, but sorry doesn't always fix everything. He had to decide if he could truly forgive, truly move forward. He was confused, torn between his love for her and the pervasive doubt of ever truly trusting her again. 3 weeks later they were meeting regularly. Tom even moved back into their apartment, though he slept in the spare room. They were taking it slow, trying to rebuild. But then a new, chilling truth emerged. Chapter 6. The Final Betrayal and Bitter End. I ran into Austin at the grocery store. He looked terrible, his divorce almost finalized, Linda taking half of everything. He approached me, a strange mix of guilt and concern etched on his face. He wanted to make sure Vienna was okay. Then he delivered the information that made my blood run cold. What happened in Seattle wasn't just a drunken mistake. They'd been flirting over email and video calls for weeks before the conference. Vienna had suggested they meet at the hotel bar. Austin said he was telling me this because he felt bad for letting Vienna pin all the blame on alcohol and poor judgment. He said Vienna had been pursuing him and she knew exactly what she was doing. This knowledge was a poison in my veins. Vienna had painted a picture of spontaneous, drunken regret. Austin's words painted a premeditated seduction. And I was supposed to have dinner with Tom and Vienna tomorrow night, a supposed return to normal. How could I sit there, knowing Vienna might still be lying, still manipulating the truth. I cursed the day I got involved in this toxic mess, feeling trapped, caught in a web of deceit that was not my own. The dinner was, as expected, a disaster. The tension was a living thing in the room. Vienna's forced cheerfulness, Tom's polite distance, my own suffocating silence. It was a performance of normalcy that fooled no one. When Vienna went to the bathroom, Tom asked if something was wrong with me. I mumbled a denial, but he knew. For a week, I wrestled with Austin's revelation. Part of me screamed that Tom deserved the whole truth, the other part was simply exhausted by their drama. Finally, I made the call. Tom met me for coffee and I laid bare Austin's account. Tom listened, quiet, then asked if I believed Austin. I told him I didn't know Austin well, but he had nothing to gain from lying now. Tom's face tightened. It explained things, he said, recalling Vienna's sudden secrecy about work calls, her increased interest in the Seattle conference. He thanked me, needing time to process. He would confront her. That confrontation happened 2 weeks ago. Tom called me the next day. Vienna had admitted it. The flirty emails, her suggestion to meet at the bar, the affair not being completely spontaneous. Tom was done. He could have maybe forgiven a drunken mistake. But he couldn't forgive the lie about how it started, and the continued deception during their attempts to reconcile. He moved out that weekend. Vienna's furious call came next, her voice dripping with venom. Could I convince Tom to give her another chance? I told her no, I was out. She needed to accept his decision. Her anger ignited. I had ruined her relationship, she screamed, accused me of never liking her, of being happy to see her fall apart. I told her the truth calmly. I was tired of carrying her secrets, tired of being caught in her self-created mess. She hung up, then sent a long text message, ending our 20-year friendship. Terrible friend. Betrayed my trust. Ruined my life. I deleted it without a word. Tom and I have stayed in touch. He's doing better, finding his own place, realizing he needs to be more careful who he trusts. He asked if I regretted getting involved. Honestly, I wished it had never happened, but I was glad he found out the truth before he proposed. Vienna? I haven't heard from her in 6 weeks. I saw her once at the grocery store, she ignored me completely. A mutual friend says she's already dating someone new, a predictable pattern. I don't regret losing Vienna's friendship. I see now how selfish and manipulative she always was, traits I overlooked for the sake of our history. A real friend wouldn't have put me through this. This whole ordeal taught me that sometimes, you have to choose between loyalty and honesty. Sometimes, doing the right thing costs you a friendship. I'm okay with that trade-off. My life is calmer now, free from the turbulent drama of others. It's a peace I fiercely protect.